The whole idea for the project came from being unhappy with the thin, quiet sound of the acoustic bass guitar. I wanted something closer to an upright, but without the size. So the plan was to build a 34-inch scale bass using a cello body and a fretless bass neck. I aimed for a $100 budget, which ended up being around 125 after buying the neck, the cello, sound post tools, and cheap upright strings. I wasn't the first to try a build like this. Mark Zandfield's The Bass uses a full cello body with a 34-inch bolt-on neck and a sophisticated pickup system. Rick Wrench rebuilt a damaged half-size cello with a handmade neck and grafted cello scroll. Brendan Collar glued a bass neck onto a trimmed cello neck, and others simply add bass strings to a standard cello neck. For my build, I found a working cello for $40 and eventually picked up a used fretless Harley Benton bass for $90, keeping the neck and tuners and selling the body. With tools and strings, the total was about $115. My woodworking skills were basic, so I asked my friend Toby, an amateur luthier and woodworker, to help. He's doing most of the work in the videos, but I promise I also got my hands dirty. I started filming a little late in the process, so what you're seeing here are the remains of the heel after removal. The usual way to remove a cello neck is to loosen the hide glue in the heel joint using heat and steam. We tried doing that with an iron, but didn't have any success. So instead, we sawed the neck off at the heel, made several cuts into the heel itself, and then removed those sections with a chisel. After that, we cleaned out the copious remaining hide glue in the dovetail joint with a chisel.
Okay.
Our plan was to build a new heel for the body with a
thing,
curved receiver
front to
that the
back,
bass neck could bolt onto.
was going to be
This approach was
this
faster than
depth,
building an entirely new neck
114
and would
plus
also
about
allow
17.
the bass neck to be removed later if needed. We rough cut the new heel from a very hard piece of kiln-dried beech and began planing it. The wood had reversing grain, which caused some complications throughout the planing and carving process, as you'll see later. The receiver was designed to begin at the 12th fret marker for comfort and extend a few centimeters over the body. We measured the radius of the back of the bass neck, then used a gouge to rough in the receiver so it matched the neck radius. The portion of the bass neck that originally bolted to the electric bass didn't blend well with the rest of the neck, so we planed and sanded it to create a shape that felt more unified and visually consistent where it extended over the cello body.
Sandpaper.
To refine the fit of the receiver on the new heel, we attached sandpaper directly to the back of the bass neck and used the neck itself as a sanding block, ensuring the curves matched perfectly. The next step was probably the most challenging, cutting the dovetail in the new heel block. We began by rough cutting the bottom of the heel, then took careful, repeated measurements. Toby then sawed and chiseled the dovetail into its final form.
On there, either a piece of wood or a piece of paper.
After that, we focused on shaping the heel. Because the beech had reversing grain, the carving required patience and constant adjustments. We used a mix of tools, including a draw knife, a belt sander, and a carving knife, to get the form right without tearing the wood. When the dovetail was finished, it fit so tightly that we could lift the cello by the heel alone without using any glue. Once the joint was confirmed, we continued sanding and refining the neck to achieve a comfortable feel and a clean, cohesive appearance. As you saw in the earlier images, the bass neck attaches to the new heel with 4 machine screws. After considering a few options, we decided to use a removable inlay to cover the bolt access. We cut the mortise for the inlay by hand with a chisel. A router would have been faster and more precise, but it would have required more setup time. The original ebony cello fingerboard was almost the exact width we needed for the inlay, and it matched the tailpiece visually. So we cut and planed a piece of it to fit the mortise.
Get it nice and even.
The result was a clean pressure fit that can be removed easily using a small notch under the fingerboard.
Nice.
We sanded the neck and stripped the Harley Benton logo and black paint from the headstock. Once everything was cleaned up, we bolted the neck to the heel. The fit on the cello body was nearly perfect, and only a few small adjustments were needed to align the neck properly with the bridge. We used an adjustable 3/4 size cello bridge for the project, but given the new neck angle, it was much too high. So we solved this by cutting it below the heart and adding a piece of maple to act as the saddle. A cello bridge is a precise component perfected over hundreds of years. But after already chopping off the cello neck, we figured recreating a bridge with a new shape and height wouldn't cause much harm. We added the strings, filed the nut to fit them, and carved a new truss rod cover to replace the old plastic one. The original ebony tailpiece fit perfectly. We used a plastic-coated steel cable instead of the original gut string to counteract the new tension. The bass looked and sounded good, so we stopped the work for the day and enjoyed a beer. 30 minutes later, Toby called. The bass had exploded. The plastic coating on the tail wire had stripped off, causing the strings and bridge pieces to scatter everywhere. One piece even ended up in the cello body, somehow making its way through the F-hole. It was a dramatic event, but the fix was pretty easy. So let's hear what it sounds like.